What's going on, guilty guys and gals? Welcome to Tier List Week. This is the week where I still didn't get anything done last week because of circumstances. Lightning storms, power outages, and realtors coming by to look at our house, which we are selling. So yeah, I just decided to make some quick, low-effort videos. One of them didn't end up being so quick. I really didn't mean for it to be like that, but this one should be quick, and it's something you might be interested in. Now that I have 100 subscribers and all, I might as well try it. Let's talk about every Pokemon title. I'm going to rank them all in this just ranking system. You get an A, a B, a C, or a D, which I'm just going to change right now really quick to F, to don't play this game. It's my least favorite. That being said, I don't want to come across as if I hate any of these games. I actually like them all. Big surprise, I'm a Pokemon fan. It's just, basically it's a list of games I like more than other games. So, you know, here we go. So, I don't know why they split up the titles like this. I guess because it would be weird to have, like, it split across the middle or something. But they're the same games. Like, I'm going to be ranking the third in the trios maybe differently, but these two will just go together, for example. So, Pokemon Red and Blue. Green isn't on here also, but I've never played Green. I just know it's more of a buggy mess. But Red and Blue itself is already a buggy mess. In no way is it F tier. I don't think it deserves F tier. But I think it does deserve C tier. It's great, and I love the original 151. Like, some of my favorite Pokemon are there. Some of my favorite Pokemon are in every generation. But the game itself just isn't fun to play anymore. It's outdated. Basically, that's it. Like, the other renditions of Kanto are brilliant, and I love them a lot. But Red and Blue are basically only good at this point to abuse glitches in for, like, speedruns and junk, and to use cheat codes on to make them incredibly broken. Like, their biggest goal right now is just being destructive. And I think Yellow kind of falls into that. It's better than these two, at least I think so, because you can at least get all the starters, and also it's, like, you know, kind of fun to play as, like, Ash in, like, an anime sort of thing. But we've got games at the very end here which are that but way better, so we'll get to that. Gold and Silver. These are the only games that I'm putting in F tier. I'm sorry, all you Gen 2 fans, but I love the region of Gen 2. I think it's one of the most beautiful regions in the remakes of these games. These games on their own, sprites are better, that's true, but they're less fun to play than Red and Blue, and Red and Blue are broken. That might be nostalgia talking, but I played these games pretty close to Red and Blue, so maybe not. I emulated them when I was a kid, because I was like, hey, these are games I never played. Some of you might say, well, that's the problem. Right there, you found it. But the problem I have with the game is it looks a little wonky sometimes, but mostly that's fine. The music, beautiful. The fact that they fit Kanto on there, amazing. The level curve. The level curve. Level curve is bad. It's just real bad. At least in Gen 1, like, you could run through the game with, like, a few party members and you'd be okay, like maybe 4, and you'd have to grind a little bit, but at least you could grind. There were high enough level Pokemon. In this game, it's just hard to run through the game with anything more than, like, 2 Pokemon. And I've always been somebody who can never decide which Pokemon I want on my team, so that just doesn't work for me. It might work for you, and it definitely works for, like, a solo run, but it's just really hard to, like, properly level stuff. I feel like I have to put Crystal 1 higher, because it fixes some of the sprite stuff that bugs me, and the games are stunning. They're still really nice, especially for Game Boy Color era. Like, wow. They also introduced shiny Pokemon, which I love. But the other thing I haven't mentioned yet is all the Gen 2 Pokemon are underwhelming. All of them. And this is when Azumarill is one of my favorite Pokemon. But all of them are weak, especially without abilities. Remember, no abilities. Some of them can't even be found in Johto, so you can't actually even use them during the game. There are new Pokemon you just don't get a chance to use. Why would you do that? That's so sad. And all the ones they introduced are just weaker versions of their Kanto counterparts. Except for maybe the starters. But even then, Venusaur is better Meganium. Charizard is better Typhlosion. I love Typhlosion, but Charizard has better utility. It's just really sad. Like, these games could have been good, but I just don't think they are. So yikes. Sorry, folks. Let's talk about Ruby and Sapphire. We're slowly moving up the tiers. We're slowly moving up. I think these are B tier games. I played them a lot. This was my childhood game, so maybe I'm a little bit biased here. I like abilities. Abilities are great. Abilities are one of the best things they've ever added into Pokemon because it was the first way that Game Freak made bad Pokemon somewhat usable again. Huge Power, for example, or Sturdy. Although it doesn't work in this game the way it does in later games, so that is coming up soon. Ruby and Sapphire, they're alright, you know? IGN said too much water. I kind of agree. There is a lot of just surfing in the middle of nowhere. But at that point in the game, you already have a Pokemon that can beat everything down and run away from it. Plus, you have the chance to buy repels, so it's not really a real argument. But there is a lot of empty space. Like, do you want to talk about the route from the 5th gym to the 6th gym? Where you're, like, walking on a route for, like, a long time with basically nothing there. Except the Weather Institute, I guess. But that's just a place where you get, like, one of the worst Pokemon in existence, so... yeah. This game added weather effects as well, which is awesome. They're real middle of the road in terms of Pokemon games. They're good, they're not great, but they're definitely not bad. Emerald, I think, gets to be better than them. I think that's just going to be the trend, is that the third game in the series is just going to be better than the previous two. Because Emerald gives Rayquaza sort of I almost said character arc, but what I mean is like a purpose for existing. It puts some more emphasis on places that we get basically no emphasis in the game before. Yeah, it's just an all-out improvement, other than maybe like that one part where you have to do the bicycle in order to get up the tower to fight Rayquaza. That's not great, but the rest of it's pretty good. Fire Red and Leaf Green. I feel like I'm being kind of lame by just putting these in A tier now, after like it's literally just been basically like a ladder. But these games are good. They're Kanto again, but Kanto done right. I think they're the best Kanto games, to be honest. Like, Let's Go, we still haven't even got to, but it's good, but these are like the best. They've got the abilities from Gen 3, they've got shiny Pokemon now, they've got the Versus Seeker, which fixes some of the level problems. The music that they remastered for this game is great, and like the Gen 3 sprites really make it good. It's also a compact experience, whereas like Gen 3, one of the biggest problems with it is that there's a lot of empty space. This game is just a remaster of a much smaller game. You get through it faster, you don't feel like you're lagging at any point except Silphco, because Silphco sucks, but we're not going to talk about that. Because every game's got a Silphco. Except, you know, I think Gen 7 has Aether Foundation. Yeah. You know what I mean. Those are slogs, but every game has them, so I can't really fault this game for having it. Part of me wants to put them in S tier. You know what? Yeah. They're S tier. Mostly just because they're great. They're just fun to play through. Like, you can play through this game a billion times and still be happy, especially with randomizers. Although I'm not going to include those in the rankings because that's kind of mean. But we've already made it to Gen 4. And what can I say about Gen 4 that hasn't already been said? Brilliant gen. Don't think they're as replayable as Fire Red and Leaf Green, simply because they're longer and slower. I hear some people who love these games say the slowness in Gen 3 is laughable, like that's not a real complaint, but that's a real thing that bugs me in games, is when things just take a long time. Like, they don't have to. Sometimes it works, right? Like when you're fighting the champion, having the HP bar slowly drain and feeling like, oh my god, have I killed Garchomp yet? And then have it be like, you did? And it's like, oh, thank god, okay. That's cool. But when it's just like a Whalmer just like hanging out, and he's got a lot of HP, and you punch him, and it's obviously going to kill him, but the HP bar still goes down really slowly, it's like, yeah, okay, can we get this over with, please? Also, Gen 4 has the thing where they have a lot of very long routes that don't go anywhere. They do go places, but I've just been playing Gen 4 on the channel, of course, and I'm trying not to base my experiences with these games on that, because there's a bit of slowdown going on in that as well, just because my emulator and computer aren't super compatible. It's not super fun. I mean, my DS, you know what I mean. Drink. They are great, and they make abilities better. They work on the abilities from Gen 3. The sprites in this game are beautiful. Like, I think the sprites in this game are the most well made in the series. Even better than Gen 5's. And Gen 5's are animated, so that actually kind of makes sense. They had to spend less time on them. But it's just, they're really lovely games. And Platinum just, again, gets to be above these guys. And that's just because it's just a better version of it. Distortion World is weird, but it's also fun. To be honest, I don't remember Platinum as much as I remember Diamond and Pearl, because I just played Diamond and Pearl more. I had to borrow Platinum to play it, and I just remember almost nothing about it. It's been overwritten completely with memories from Diamond and Pearl. But I know it's a better experience, and it's got more to offer, like post-game and stuff too. It's just good. So yeah, I don't think anybody will argue with that. So let's talk about Heart Gold and Soul Silver. These were my favorite games of all time at one point. Don't think they're S tier though, because they still suffer from the level curve of original Gen 2. They just look better, and they have some more balancing. There's more balancing, certainly. Like, Falconer has real Pokemon this time, instead of a level 9 Pidgey. Stuff like that, where it just makes more sense. And it runs on Gen 4's engine, which is good. Abilities also help with the balancing problems, but you can really still, you have to put in a lot of effort to get a 6 Pokemon team going in this game. In fact, what I did when I was a kid is I would take my team from this game, transfer them to Pokemon Diamond version, and train them in that Elite Four. Because I didn't want to have to wait. And that just tells you how bad these are. When it comes to levels late game. I actually think I have to move them down. I'm sorry. Just saying that made me realize I can't put them above Diamond and Pearl. Wonderful games. I really do enjoy their atmosphere, and the sprites are really good, obviously, but they're mostly borrowed from Diamond and Pearl, so I can't really give them that either. If I had to pick between playing Fire Red and Leaf Green and Heart Gold and Soul Silver right now, I'd probably still pick Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I'd probably still pick Diamond and Pearl, though. So, yeah. Let's talk about Gen 5, everybody's favorite gen to hate and love, and pretend that everyone else hates it, even though everybody else loves it now. I have to be honest, I really do. That is the point of this. I think they are B tier. Original Gen 5, I think, are B tier. And the reason for that, they've only got 100 whatever Pokemon. Like, they've only got new Pokemon, which is fine. I think it's actually refreshing. I wish more games would do this, honestly. That's one of the big selling points for these games for me. But, you know, the sprites don't actually look quite as good. They aren't animated, which is really cool. But some of them just make Pokemon look a little bit weird. That trend will continue. Some of the new Pokemon were just bad. It falls into that thing with Gen 2, where there's just better counterparts of them. Because they were making a gen where they were only going to put this new generation of Pokemon in it originally, they basically just copied some Pokemon from old generations and put a different coat of paint on them. Like, Gothitelle is just new Alakazam, and Conkeldurr is just new Machamp. Like, you can't really rank the game super high when half the Pokemon are just rebrands of old Pokemon. And I love a lot of Gen 5's Pokemon, like Bisharp, awesome. Zoroark, awesome. There's more, but those are the two examples I think of. I'm a Vanillux lover. Most people don't like Vanillux. I think it's a creative ice type. Like, ice types, they can be really lame, and that's just the fun one. Like, you gotta have fun sometimes, folks, even if it doesn't make 100% sense. But they're sentient icicles. Like, what else can you do? They made a sentient iceberg. People complained about that. Like, trying to make ice sentient never really works, but that was a good attempt. I think overall the story is good, but Pokemon games don't really revolve around the story. I feel like Pokemon games, for me anyway, and this is all based on my opinion after all, this isn't the definitive list, are about replayability and how fun they are to play. Because I play them a lot. That's just how my life goes. And yeah, I'd pick Heart Gold and Soul Silver over Gen 1 or Gen 5. The sequels, again, they're just one step better than their counterparts. They do fix a couple things. I think the early game of Gen 5 was a little bit weird and slow. But it felt kind of good, actually. The new system of having... You know what? I'm going to swap these around really quick. I've made up my mind. The new system of having old Pokemon come back, it really held back the originals. But having them come back now makes it feel like kind of a cop-out, honestly. Like, it gives even less emphasis to Gen 5 Pokemon that now have no reason to exist. That and the story isn't quite as good. Sorry, it's just not. It goes to like super generic villain thing. Plus, I don't know about you, but Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, I don't think they look cool. And like, when I'm picking out which game I want to play, usually it'll be because one of the legendaries on the box looks cool. That's just how I go with it. Because, like, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to get the other Pokemon from the other version eventually through, like, some means. I have to. I just have to. So, it's just basically down to, which game looks cooler? Which game will be more, I'm going to see this Pokemon a lot, so I might as well pick the cool one. That's why I picked Fire Red, or Ruby, or, what was it? I picked White version, and Soul Silver, and Diamond, because I just thought those legendaries look better. And the Kyurems never did it for me. They just didn't. They look ugly. They're ugly. I'm sorry, Kyurem, you're ugly. That's why nobody wants to hang out with you. Gen 6. I think they must go here. How about you? They are not bad games. A lot of people hate on this gen because the Pokemon look really awkward. And yes, they do. I hate a few of them. You want to talk about Flygon? New Flygon? No, bad. Get out of here. I'll take Sprite Flygon from Gen 4 and Gen 5, like, instantly before I even talk about these. However, these games are sort of like Gen 1. Sort of. There are some times when they get a little bit long, like there's like a really big break between Gym 1 and Gym 2 for no reason. Like, why? But after that, it's sort of just like, and you're out. This might just be because of the experience share, which like people complain about, but I'm totally fine with. I don't want to be playing the game for like an extra 4 hours just because I had to grind in the grass. And that is evident from the games that I have at the bottom. I just want to play the game, my friends. I want to play the game. And Pokemon is kind of in a weird place where it's like an RPG, but not really, because like, I don't know, there's all these other mechanics in there that kind of break the chain, and it's its own thing, but it doesn't really like work well with difficulty. It's like there's like a thin line where the difficulty is like perfect. Below it, it's way too hard, and above it, it's way too easy. It's really hard to hit that. And if you want to know that that's true, play any Pokemon fan game. Alright, let's talk about the next S tier games. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Yes, I'm biased, I know. Ruby and Sapphire, again, childhood games. But these games got rid of Fly. They didn't really get rid of like all the HMs yet, but they were like, this is them moving in the right direction. Also, we had more Mega Evolutions, which I didn't even talk about with X and Y, but those are another reason why they're actually good. Mega Evolutions for Pokemon that actually really needed them, like Manectric and Meditite, or Medicham, sorry, you know what I mean. And some for Pokemon that didn't, like Salamence. Not one for Flygon! These games are, again, they're just fun to play. I played them a whole lot when they came out. I played both versions. This was like the first time I picked up both versions, just so I could play both. For like no reason. There's literally no reason to do that, but I did. It's just, I don't know. There's something about them. I think it's like, the functionality in this game was like the greatest it had ever been. You had the Dex Nav to hunt out Pokemon. You could hunt shinies on land easy. There was like the, what's it called? The PSS was still there. So like you could go online and Wonder Trade really quickly. That's what I did, but you could do a lot of other things online. The story was like improved, but not drastically altered. The gyms all looked good now. You know, like they fixed the problems. They got rid of Flash, and they just made a more enjoyable version of Ruby and Sapphire, which was already pretty good. Turned a good game into a great game. Now let's talk about the game everybody hates, because it's the most recent one. I don't hate Sun and Moon. I really don't. I don't see why people hate it so much. I mean, I do. They are long. I haven't been able to replay them very much. And I know I said I rank my games on replayability. But even so, I replayed these games 3 or 4 times. Between the two versions. Sun and Moon, they're here, I think. Oops, didn't want to do that. They have a compelling story. They actually include the legendary Pokemon with like your group, which is cool. Also, Lily is great, Gladion's great. I like Hal, but not in this version. The one thing that this game lacks is gym leaders. I thought it would be fun to go without gym leaders for a little bit. It wasn't, because they just put gym leaders in the game anyway, but made them worse, and then you don't get to like, you know... They tried to introduce them into the story when they had no reason to be there, basically. Like, you want to talk about Mina in this game? Why do we even have a cutscene with her? Why? She doesn't deserve it. She's nothing. Or Ryuko, whatever his name is. You know what I'm talking about. Dragon guitarist man who never comes into fact. Like, he never shows up. What? Why? Also, Ultra Beasts are bad. I don't like them. A lot of people are like, oh, they're kind of fun competitively, you know? You want to talk about Celesteela with Leech Seed? I think they just ruined the fun of it a little bit. They feel like just more overpowered legendaries, basically. I don't think we needed any more of those. I think we were fine with the ones we were going to get. Like, keep the Tapus and Solgaleo and Lunala. That would have been fine. But now, like, half of the Pokedex is legendaries suddenly. So yeah, I think they're good games. I don't think they're bad games, but they're definitely not great games. Let's put that out there right away. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they improve on it wholeheartedly. They're still a little bit long with the cutscenes and junk. Literally, the entire game could be fixed with a skip cutscene button. The entire game could be fixed with a skip cutscene button. If that wasn't a factor, everything else about these games is great. Like, the graphics are way improved from the original Sun and Moon. They made it actually look cool and tropical and fun. The Pokemon are great in this gen. I haven't even mentioned that, but this gen has some of the most original and fun Pokemon designs since, like, Gen 4. And all of them are good. Like, you can find a way to use all of them, like, viably. Even Bruxish. And I think that's really cool, because it's nice to have, like, the choice to use Pokemon you like, even though, you know, they might not be the most, like, broken. I don't know. Also, this game added Ultra Wormholes. That's kind of bad, I guess, because well, I can't. You know, here's my thoughts on Ultra Wormhole. It introduces people who weren't into shiny hunting to shiny hunting. Or even just, like, allows people to get shinies. And I think the idea that having the Ultra Wormhole, like, be a bad thing because it makes some shinies less valuable is kind of, like, dumb. And hear me out. This is just, like, I mean, you don't have to do that, right? You don't. I mean, anybody can gen any shiny Pokemon they want and put it in their game. So it doesn't matter at this point anyway. Like, you might as well just make them easy to find so at least some kid can have a shiny Pokemon and feel good about himself, right? But yeah, that's the last thing I'll say about that. So let's talk about the most recent Pokemon games. Sword and Shield hasn't come out yet, of course. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. They're different. That doesn't mean they're bad, and we shouldn't be afraid of them. I actually had a lot of fun, and I still shiny hunt in these games, because it's fun. What can I say? It's much more active to hunt Pokemon when they are moving around and you can see them. I don't know how I'm going to go back to shiny hunting in these new games, honestly. But yeah, other than just having Pokemon in the overworld, which it and itself makes these games interesting and fun, they are a beautiful rendition of Kanto. It kind of sucks we didn't get to play Red and Gary again, I will be honest. I mean, I guess it's Red and Blue. I always called him Gary. I'm sorry. We get to see them, which is kind of cool, I guess. Also, Green. Green is canon in this game, which is, like, really cool, because they never gave her any love. But, yeah, I feel like they're here on enjoyment level. I like them better than Sun and Moon. I think they're a marked improvement from that. But they're not as replayable as X and Y. They're just, yeah, it's just, they're babby games. They're Pokemon for babies. And I know that was, like, that's super cliched, but they're just really easy. What can I say? They're just really easy. Again, like I said, it's a paper-thin line between making a Pokemon game way too easy and way too hard. I just wish they had an option to turn XP share off on that, and it'd be great. I'm pretty sure the game would be a lot less easy if you could do that. Okay, I have been talking for half an hour, so I am going to stop now. Thank you all so much for watching my silly opinions. Am I wrong? In all likelihoods, you probably think so, because we all have different opinions. So I want to hear what your favorite Pokemon games are. Maybe top 3 in the comments. That'd be great. And maybe your least favorite one as well. So top 3, least favorite generation. But yeah, this is a pretty succinct way of putting my thoughts out there. I feel like I'm going to get some Gen 1er hate for putting Fire Red and Leaf Green in as my favorite game. But I just feel like they're the most pure Pokemon experience. Anyway, that's it.